Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline live in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching us tonight. We appreciate it on this spring, almost summer-like night. I heard it set a record of 78 degrees. I didn't verify it, but I heard it was a record. The last record was 1891, 68 degrees.
It was a lot warmer in my office today, I just got to tell you.
Wow. Well, Chip Hayner's here, Smoking Jim Frazier. We'll try not to interrupt Smoking Jim. We got Olive Oil's Pizza and hoagie. He crushed that hoagie. I think he bit a finger, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry, it wasn't his.
I understand that. Ow. Appreciate you watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Also watching us Verizon 32, Bethel Park, Nemacolin, all the way to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate you. Thanks for all the likes on Facebook. Hit a brand new high, 6622. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching our shows and liking our pictures and all these other things that we put up there. It's not too shabby there. We always talk sports. We'll have plenty of sports coming up for you tonight. Beginning of our show, What's on Your Mind is sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. We got Rookie of the Year, Steve Fisher, helping out. Devin Shea's been doing this for 6 years now. He knows us pretty good, sets us up.
Makes us look good.
Yeah, every week. So, well, I'll give an announcement on how you can become a volunteer and call 412-831-3304. Call Dave Cable. But What's on Your Mind is sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski. Give him a call, 724-348-4715. They're right past Mineral Beach, Trax Farms, and he works on anything that runs on gas. And he was busy today, had a full garage, so I appreciate you, Skeets. Got to talk some boxing to him, found out my buddy Smoking Jim Frazier was doing boxing at the Royal Place without me. What the heck happened there? But hey, that's what happens here in the sports world. I got some promos to bring up first. Our sponsor of the night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Here we go, 412-831-1900. Pizza's great. Thanks to Mitch for making our pizza and hoagie. Frank Funera, the owner, was there. He said to say hello to you guys. And we said, we enjoy your food, Frank. Couldn't beat that. We were talking stories. He was telling me back when he wrestled in high school, he was going up against these guys named the Mary Brothers, and here I worked with one of them, Pat Mary, at Prudential in Washington, PA. So what a small world. Then who's there but this Ryan? He was the manager there, and now he's selling insurance, and he works with a good friend of ours, Greg Rudolph. So How about that for a small world? But yeah, Ryan does hockey and stuff. I've interviewed him on Community Day. He does a lot of great things in the area. So, all right, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. This is Joey before DIPG and after DIPG, the brain cancer that took his life at 9 years old. Go to the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Donate what you can. They have different events. They just had girls basketball. We're promoting and gathering money for them. So it all goes to look into finding a cure for DIPG. Another 501c3, Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, right there on South Park Road. Do a lot of great things. Bill Haberther just did a radio interview that he posted on Facebook. You have to check it out to find out more about the Bethel Park Historical Society and the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. Great place. Now they got money. Bethel Park Community Foundation, BPCF. I heard rumors that they got some money. They may be helping the studio out with some portable lighting. Because when we go on location, which we'll talk about later, sometimes we need lights. Last night we had no problem at Hollywood Lanes. The lighting system was fantastic. But check out bpcf.org, get an application, get from $100 to $5,000 for your organization in Bethel Park. And last but not least, I want you for BPTV. Dave Cable put my head in there for Uncle Sam. But Uncle Al wants you, I want you for BPTV, 412-831-3304. Give them a call to be a volunteer. We always look for volunteers. We do over 500 shows a year. There's plenty of opportunities to run a camera and be involved in the show. Look at Rookie of the Year, Steve Fisher's here. Devin Shea again. They're doing a heck of a job, and we're going to switch to What's on Your Mind, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Hold on, buddy. Here it comes. Long distance.
got to see Levine.
How about that throw right into those big paws?
Well, I tell you what, man, and I know Al Levine, the talking machine, is going to do on location, later on in the show. But I just wanted to mention one thing. Got a chance to meet some great people last night from Keystone Oaks, Seton LaSalle on Mount Lebanon, and it got me to thinking that in that particular area, with all the great athletes that came through Keystone Oaks, Seton LaSalle, and Mount Lebanon, if they all played for one school, what a powerhouse that would be in that community. Also, got a chance to do some Golden Gloves on Saturday, and we were at the Pitt Field House for Pitt Peterson Event Center, and Jimmy Savetta gave me a call and said the ring announcer didn't show up. So I got a chance to go out there and do the ring announcing, and the TV portion was probably bad because really wasn't nobody calling blow by blow, but I was able to do
I heard you were the ring announcer. You lit it up, baby.
I heard
you did a great job.
I got off to a slow start, but I warmed up after that. We're a little tired coming in from the City League. So that's what's on my mind is the City League Championship, Great Karma from Pittsburgh Sports Line. It's the first time in 60-some odd years that a City League champion won basketball in the boys division 5 years in a row, and that was the Alderdice Dragons, who've been part of the Pittsburgh Sports Line family.
Coach Buddy.
Yeah, Coach Buddy, and been part of the family for quite some time, and congratulations to them. And the last time that it happened was the Westinghouse team of 1950, 51, 52, 53, and
the Big House.
The Big House, and I believe that team was made up with Maurice Stokes, Ed Fleming, Chuck Bill Nutt, and
what legends!
And Chuck Cooper, first black player in NBA history. So I think some of those guys was part of that team. And congratulations to Aliquippa for booting out their coach that went to 10 straight WPIL finals. So congratulations, Aliquippa, first class organization. But that's what's on my mind.
You didn't even give a plenty props to the Alderdice girls who won their city title as well.
With 3 sophomores starting.
Okay, so they'll be back for some more next year, you think?
Good job, yeah.
Smoking Jim, you're a man of many talents with the media. Thanks for your report. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. First, we would like to pay our respects to the, if anybody knows anything about WPIAL football, Western Pennsylvania football, Chuck Glossing unfortunately passed away this past weekend. He's a legend in the
football
in football in Western Pennsylvania. Molded a lot of young men's lives, and his Braddock teams of the 50s may have been some of the best of all time. So make sure that we make note of that and take a moment to reflect. Next, I just wanted to kind of touch a little, because we don't really delve into basketball so much, but the NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, decided to drop the hammer on the University of Louisville and to strip their national title from 2013 and to make them vacate 123 wins. Now, how this punishment makes any sense to anybody is beyond me. This is
hurts Patino.
5 or 6 years ago. I mean, so you know what? They still played the game. They still were crowned the national champions. How do you remove that? But you know, I get it. They were breaking the rules, and you know, I don't think that they were the first college basketball, football, lacrosse, tennis, golf team that has used prostitutes to encourage athletes to come to their schools.
Whoa.
But for whatever reason, they decided to drop the hammer on them. Yet you still have a school like Michigan State, where there is a huge controversy about young girls that were being molested over decades by
Sure.
the head trainer, and pretty much the administrators and the coaches of that school somehow are tainted by this, but nothing happens. So we'll wait to be seen. That got those things off my. That's on a national picture, and that you know I just
Thanks,
wanted
Chip.
to speak to that because we probably wouldn't talk about it later on. But what's really on my mind this week is Pirates baseball. What do you think? I told everybody that you know I've been a proud supporter of this team for 57 years, and I will continue to be so. And this past weekend, once again, local radio station took every opportunity they could to bash the team. When David Freese came out and said that a winning environment did not exist last year here on this team. And Josh Harrison came in and he said that if this team is not prepared to win, then he doesn't want to be here. And everybody turned this into a referendum on the management of the team. I personally looked at it through a different set of eyes, and the way I looked at it is, here you've got David Freese and Josh Harrison, two of the quote-unquote elder statesmen of this baseball team, and they are calling out their teammates, and they are letting them know that, you know what, if you are not prepared to play 100%, 162 games, show up every day with the expectation that you're going to do whatever you have to win. I like what they did. They called out their teammates because if an atmosphere of winning did not exist here last year, that's not the ownership's problem. That's not the ownership's fault. That's in the locker room, and that tells me that there was a lack of leadership on that team last year. So, you know, I'm sorry that the guys left or gone, but what we've got to deal with is the team that's here, and they have to change their attitude. The attitudes I'd like to see change: Starling Marte's, Gregory Polanco's. I mean, here's guys that have a tremendous amount of talent that, you know, fall asleep on the base pass and get picked off. They're not paying attention. They take plays off. And they need to be committed to winning, and it needs to start from the first day of training camp. So I applaud what David Freese and Josh Harrison did, because that shows me that they're willing to be the leaders of this team, and they expect nothing less from their teammates. Good job, guys.
All right, Chip. Hey, I got Pirates on my mind too, so getting a double dose. I was enthused that Freese would put this out there, although I would have liked it from others, because he suffered. He was an MVP, you know, player, and he did well, so he has some credibility. So I accepted that. The thing that bothers me is, for some reason, I watch sports, and I notice when teams are rebuilding, and it's like a swear word when you say you're rebuilding. Steelers will never say it. The Pirates had a chance to say it because you got rid of the face of the Pirates, McCutchen. I mean, that was the guy, I understand, you know, issues. He gave a hometown discount to get the $51 million deal, and they did get him up to 98 wins, and then they sort of flopped after that, so I understand it. And then they got rid of Garrett Cole because, you know, they don't want to keep these young players and give them the big money. We know that. But still, they're rebuilding. So I wasn't surprised by what Knighting said to start, you know, the season off, that they want a winning atmosphere and they plan on winning the World Series. The only thing is, it falls on deaf ears because a lot of fans are frustrated, like me at times, when we saw the lack of effort between base running, steroids, etc. Kung wasn't available. They didn't get a guy to replace him or Marte, and the average fan knew that. So, I mean, it insults my intelligence. You can keep telling me this stuff, but a lot of people on Facebook are saying it's BS. Well, if Nutting believes it, that's great, because I want to believe it too, and they did get 98 wins a couple years ago. So I'm hopeful each year. I'm hopeful a couple players can step in and do something, but we need a little bit of help. And I'm glad Nutting come out and said it. It's just I don't see the follow through on it.
Can I
Yeah.
ask you a question, if I may? And I understand Pirates fans' frustration. I am a Pirate fan, and yes, they did drop the ball after the 2015 season. They made mistakes that they could not afford to make. Okay, and then they did nothing to reverse that situation last year.
Yeah,
okay, so be that as it may. But everybody wants to point at Bob Nutting as the cause of the situation here. And here's
I'm only pointing at his statement.
Well, and
because that's a catalyst when you come out and say this.
But the statements to me, I don't pay much attention to it. What I pay most attention to is the product on the field, and there I wholly hold the players accountable for their reactions. If they say a winning atmosphere didn't exist here, well, then they were part of that problem. Okay, and if they want to go ahead and say this year that that was a problem and they want to do something about it, I applaud them. But now, you know what? You put it out there, you put your name on it, own it. Okay, that's where
I'm
at.
with you to it, but I take people for their word if they keep coming out because they're using the media for whatever reason to put this out, or you wouldn't say it. So that's where I'm a little more critical than you are of it, just because it irks me on that, because you should mention that we are actually trying to rebuild and replace these players, because common sense will tell you that.
Yeah,
and that's the statement that should have come from above, because you got all these fans that are upset. And they want to point the finger at a guy.
And the funny thing is that I kind of listen to what the owner has to say in the same ear that I listen to a politician. They're trying to say something that's the least offensive to everybody, and generally all it does is offend everybody.
Okay, you're making money. I'm happy you're a good businessman. I'm happy the team is at PNC Park. I'm happy about those things. What I saw on the field the last 2 years, a lot of disappointments, and it's the players' fault. Because who's out there to hit that ball? Who's out there like Garrett Cole to throw 196 strikes and almost 200 innings? I mean, he was out there, competitive, had some troubles. We all know that. Will he be successful? Who knows?
I hope he does. I don't wish anybody that's left any ill.
No, and my thing is I just had to bring it up because that was what's on my mind, and I'm done with that.
Good.
We'll come back with Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
So, Smoking Jim.
And for those of you in Bethel Park that don't know me, I am Mr. Bold, one of the many stars here at Bethel Park TV, Channel 7. I hope that the folks in Bethel Park understand what we have here in the way of BPTV, the asset that the television station, the public television station, is to the community of Bethel Park. For Mr. Bold personally, one of the things that I would like to do, and I've talked to Dave about this, is a show gearing itself towards veterans. And I would throw out an invitation to the veterans in our audience here in Bethel Park or around the South Hills. If you want to contact Dave Cable here at the station and let them know that you would be willing to share your experiences, especially the World War II veterans who are losing here at an alarming rate, and pretty soon there's not going to be many of them left. I would love to get them on TV if they would be willing and interview them.
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BPTV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BPTV.
Jim.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine, and Chip Hayner, my man, Rookie of the Year, was in here and talking to us, and my man Devin Shea. But hey, it's February, and everybody knows Black History Month, and
Really?
and I wish again I was sitting in the middle in February so we could show some segregation, but it just goes back to a time when I used to go to Miami every year for a game they called the Soul Bowl, and it was between
Who played in it?
Northwestern High School and Jackson High School back when they had the Orange Bowl, and they get over 50,000 fans to come
Plus
see
you.
plus me to come see the game. Matter of fact, Teddy Bridgewater was one of the great stars for Northwestern High School at one time, and I think one year Miami University had 8 or 9 scholarship athletes off of one senior team for Northwestern High School. That's kind of talent they had. But the reason, the first Soul Bowl that I went to, reason I went down there is because University of Pittsburgh under Walt Harris, who couldn't recruit, signed what they were saying was the greatest running back to come out of Florida since Emmitt Smith, and his kid's name was Torrey Cox. So I go to the game and I sit there and I'm getting ready to leave the game with 13 minutes left in the first quarter because I seen Torrey Cox and I knew he couldn't play in running back in college. So I was very disappointed.
Wow.
So I was getting ready to leave the game at the 2-minute mark.
You're known for leaving early.
In the
Batman.
first quarter.
Batman.
I was so pissed. I thought I was going to be seeing Gale Sears in here. I was seeing the most overrated running back ever seen in my life. But I decided to stay because there's a lot
What
of
was her name?
a lot of good-looking girls.
What was her
in the
name?
game.
How'd I guess?
A lot of good-looking girls to watch here in Miami. And I kept seeing this wide receiver who had just transferred to Northwestern High School in his senior year. He had very good grades, surprisingly. I went and talked to him in the locker room after the game. He had nobody really knew him. He had 0 scholarship offers. So I called up Walt Harris in Pitt, and Walt Harris had a good system, almost like Jamie Dixon, but he didn't have the personality for recruiting. And he had no scholarships, didn't want the kid, never heard of the kid. And so finally in February, around about this time, one of the scholarship athletes that they had that was committed gave a verbal commitment, signed with another school. There was an opening, and Walt Harris, remember the conversation I had was, if you believe in this kid Torrey Cox, which I didn't, then you would want to bring somebody up. So, because there was nobody from Florida on the roster at that time, if you want to open up the state of Florida, you want to have somebody that, have a buddy basically come through. So they gave this kid a scholarship, and he was an immediate starter on offense. And Torrey Cox took him a couple years to start on defense because he couldn't play running back like I predicted. And in 3 years, he had every record and was a second-round draft pick, and his name is Antonio Bryant.
Oh,
Wow.
So congratulations to Antonio Bryant, who came up here, and the last little mushroom of it, Antonio Bryant calls me week and a half into camp. He says, can you take me to the Greyhound bus station? I guess that was before the dollar buses.
Yeah, they
was
didn't
around.
have them back then.
They didn't
Megabus.
have-
Megabus.
Megabus.
They weren't around. It was Greyhound.
And of course, he didn't have a father, but he did have a male role model, which was his midget league football coach. And I had him at the Greyhound bus station, and I made sure I didn't bring any money so he couldn't borrow that. And I told him
That was a first.
Yeah. I told him to call his midget league coach before he went home. This is in the middle of the night. Called his midget league coach, and midget league coach answered the phone. I guess he was just getting in from the after hours club, and he told him, "Suck it up, stick it out."
Whoa.
So I took him right back to camp, and the rest is history. He's a little homesick, but he did what a real man should do for a kid. Suck it up, stick it out. And the rest is history when it's Antonio Bryant.
No, he had a
And
great
that's what's on my mind.
he had a great college career. Unfortunately, the pros weren't that kind to him.
Yeah.
He didn't learn how to play well with others, did he?
Those things happen.
That's it.
Some can. Well, thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier. Appreciate your fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to my trivia segment. And Jim brought to our attention that it's Black History Month, and what I wanted to do was last week I told you about the Pittsburgh Crawfords and the Homestead Grays, two of the more famous teams from the Negro Leagues that played here in Pittsburgh. Now I want to go over some of the players from these teams that have made it into the Hall of Fame.
What's that hat?
Baseball hat.
Don't look at
Yeah, you see that? First, I want to bring up a young man named James Cool Papa Bell. James Cool Papa Bell was born in May of 1903, died in 1991 at age 87 in St. Louis, Missouri. He was a switch hitter. He threw left. He made his debut in the Negro Leagues in 1922 for the St. Louis Stars. His last appearance was in 1946 for the Homestead Grays.
Wow.
His statistics were a career batting average of .328. And the unfortunate part about the statistics for these players is that they're rather incomplete. And, you'll find out what I'm talking about as I go through the list, because you can see who I've got right there.
All
That's
right.
okay. So, he played on 7 or 8 teams, but the bulk of his career was spent playing for the Homestead Grays and the Pittsburgh Crawfords. He started out his career as a pitcher, and one of his biggest accomplishments as a young pitcher was that he struck out Oscar Charleston.
Did he?
And I will talk to you about
Great
Oscar
hitter.
Charleston because he's another one of the men that I plan on spotlighting tonight. I'm not going to go too much into every aspect of their career. Just a quick gloss over. He was an 8-time All-Star, a lifetime batting average of .337 in the Negro Leagues. He played for the Chicago American Giants, the Memphis Red Sox in the Mexican Leagues, the Pittsburgh Crawfords for 5 years, the Homestead Grays for approximately 5 years, Santo Domingo, the Kansas City Monarchs, Detroit Wolves, and the St. Louis Stars. Cool Papa Bell, you can see some of his memorabilia at Cooperstown.
I heard he was pretty fast.
He was very fast. They said that he could shut the light off and get in bed before the room got dark.
I read that
Yeah.
somewhere.
Smoking Jim read that in a book I lent him about the Negro Leagues.
Yes, he did. Muhammad Ali used to say the same thing, but
Well, those light switches were a little slow
well,
back then.
there wasn't the instantaneous shut-off that you get these days. Huh? Either that or those young men were fast,
They were
right?
fast.
They were fast, but the
Next
lights
up,
were slow.
and probably one of the greatest players to ever play in the Negro Leagues, and he has been referred to as the Black Babe Ruth. Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson was born in 1911 in Buena Vista, Georgia. He died on January 20th, 1947, at age 35. He batted right, he threw right. His Negro League debut was for the Homestead Grays on July 31st, 1930, and his last appearance was in 1946. Now here's where, his statistics get a little cluttered or muddled. Let's just
And
say
black
that.
folks can't count.
Well, they didn't keep as good of records as they could have. Okay, so let's just put it at that. But here's a man with a career batting
Busy
average
running numbers.
of .359,
Wow.
a slugging percentage for his career of .648, and he had somewhere, they estimate, between 800 and 1,000 home runs in his career.
That's a good estimate.
Well,
They lost a lot of baseballs.
They lost a lot of baseball. This young man could hit the cover off the ball. And he did play for both the Homestead Grays and the Pittsburgh Crawfords. He played for the Homestead Grays from 1931 to 1930 to 1931, and then the Pittsburgh Crawfords from 32 to 36, which may have been the best team in the Negro Leagues of all time was the Pittsburgh Crawford teams of the mid-30s. He played for a team in the Dominican, I believe, and then in the Homestead Grays. The unfortunate thing was he was, he died at a young age. Apparently, they said that he had a brain tumor, and he chose not to have the surgery done and decided to spend the last 4 years of his life in pain, and unfortunately, he was taken much too soon. Career highlights:
He died of a broken heart. That's what it was.
12-time All-Star, and a 2-time Negro World Series champion, 1943 and 1944. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1972. So Josh Gibson, probably, who was a catcher, probably one of the greatest players that ever played the game. Unfortunately, he never really got the chance to play it in the major leagues against the competition of the day, and I'm sure he would have fared well.
Sure, he could hit.
Next up on my list here is William Julius Judy Johnson, who was born on October 26, 1899, died on June 15, 1989. He lived to be 90 years old, born in Snow Hill, Maryland. He batted right, threw right, Negro Leagues debut in 1921 for the Hillsdale Club. His last appearance is in 1937 for the Homestead Grays. He also played for the Pittsburgh Crawfords from 1932 to 1936. He played for the Homestead Grays in 1929 and 1930, and then also in 1937. His career highlights: 2-time All-Star selection, Negro World Series champion in 1925. No list for his career batting average. I can take a look through here real quick. No references there. But again, he was elected into the Hall of Fame in 1975. And last but not least, and they say that this may have been the second greatest player in the Negro Leagues.
Really?
His name was Oscar Charleston. Oscar McKinley Charleston, born 1896, and he died October 5th, 1954. He was an American center fielder and manager in baseball's Negro Leagues from 1915 to 1945. He batted left, he threw left, Negro League baseball debut, 1915, the Indianapolis ABCs. His last appearance was in 1941 for the Philadelphia Stars. He played on the Indianapolis ABCs, the Lincoln Stars, the Chicago American Giants, Detroit Stars, Indianapolis ABCs, the St. Louis Giants, the Indianapolis ABCs again in the 20s, Harrisburg Giants, the Hillsdale Club, Homestead Grays from 1930 to 31. He was a player and manager for the Pittsburgh Crawfords from 1932 to 1937. The Toledo Crawfords, which were the Pittsburgh Crawfords
When they moved.
after they moved from Pittsburgh to
know that.
Toledo. And he
You should've
also
listened
played for
last
the
week.
Indianapolis Crawfords
You must have felt
after they moved from Toledo to Indianapolis, and it was shortly after that that the Crawfords folded. And he played his final season for the Philadelphia Stars. He was a 3-time All-Star selection. He's a member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. His induction was in 1976. But, I mean, here's another guy. In 1932, the Pittsburgh Crawfords went 99-36.
wow.
And Charleston himself batted .363 for the season.
Wow.
So just wanted to bring to light some of the great players.
Now, how good, this is for you or Al Levine, the talking machine, how good was Jackie Robinson when he played with the Colors?
You'll find out next week.
Okay.
He's going to be one of my highlight players for
Whoa.
next week, because next week I'm going to have some of the more popular players. They name a few. Larry Doby. Larry Doby was the first to break the color barrier in the American League.
Yeah.
And Jackie Robinson was the first to break it in the National League. Also, Satchel Paige is probably the most name-worthy player, and a couple of others. But I wanted to touch tonight on guys that were
Good job.
connected to Pittsburgh,
Sure.
even though most of the players that did play in that era played on one of the Pittsburgh teams, because the Pittsburgh teams were two of the best in the
Sure.
leagues.
No colored fellows? No.
What's
It's
that?
all black and white, no colored fellows? No.
I only have a black and white printer, and there's nothing racist about that.
Glad we could cover that. Thank you, Chip.
I get hand-me-downs at work. That's all for you, man. You could put that in your fine.
Welcome to our On Location segment. What a great show we had at Hollywood Lanes. Our return to Hollywood Lanes in Dormont, 2961 West Liberty Avenue. It was a great show. Great crowd. We had guests, heart transplant, senior from the North Hills, Joshua Kroll. He plays basketball, volleyball, and he had a heart transplant 18 months ago. You'd never know it to look at him. He's a stubborn kid. I like him. He likes sports. You're not supposed to be playing sports and being competitive. He broke those rules, and he's doing well. So God bless him. He was a great guest on the show. Thanks to his mother, Jill, for talking to me, of course, and I talked her into bringing Joshua. So that was great. Joey Del Sardo, a Dormont native, related to the Gradkowskis and Del Sardo and Conley families. A lot of sports in the area. Him and his brother Ralph, who I met at the Post-Gazette back in 2002. Ralph Del Sardo, they were both wide receivers. They could both catch the ball. Joey said he was the better receiver, but Ralph could hold his own just about wherever he went catching a football. He went to Moorhead State, did well down in Kentucky. So good guys. They come up with a podcast. They call it Brothers in the Berg. So you have to check out Brothers in the Berg. They talk sports, and they're pretty knowledgeable about sports. They grew up with baseball, footballs in their cribs, so they started at a young age. Then we had the return of the WPA Wildcats. They play up in New Kent at the Valley High School field. They lost one game last year. It was a championship game up here, but they got invited to the championship, the top 5 team against the number 1 team, Daytona Beach, in the USA Bowl. They won their second football trophy in 2 years in a row. So they were back on the show, had a bunch of their players, probably about 15 of them. They were just interesting guys, and John brought his sister up. John Ray's the coach and owner of the team, had his head coach, Jeff, brought his sister up that has a sponsorship with the team. She has a restaurant out on University Boulevard near Robert Morris called Eggs and At.
I'm going.
So Skip Atkins, I know you're watching the show. Hey, Skip, thanks for that pizza for me and Smoking Jim. We appreciate it. He went there and ate breakfast there. Kelly wasn't there. His sister Kelly owns the place. Been doing it about 12 years. Serves a heck of a meal. Skip said it was great. He had like 2 eggs, bacon. He said everything was cooked perfectly.
Wow.
But she wasn't there.
They got sausage?
Yeah, they got it all. Smoking Jim, we'll have to do a road trip.
I'm ready.
Come on and pick me up. Let's go. We'll do it. But yeah, it was great. We have on locations coming up on the 12th of March. That'll be Olive Oil's Pizzeria, Brookline Boulevard, 930 Brookline Boulevard, 7:30 to 8:30. Come on out. And then we're back the 3rd Monday of each month at Hollywood Lanes with Jeffrey Park and Lindsay Marie. So come see us there, and thanks for listening to this On Location
You
report.
forgot my best friend was there.
I forgot, your best friend Joy.
I thought his best friend was the pizza.
Almond Joy.
Yeah, Joy was funny because she said that Smoking Jim and her are best friends. I said, everybody he knows is a best friend. I said, at least come up with an original line. So I met another one of his best friends, just like I've met 102 of his godchildren, and they're not even related to him. His cousins,
Yeah.
I think I counted 150.
The calculator broke.
He has cousins all over the
Big
place.
family.
Too many zeros.
Well, it just keeps growing. She come up to me at the end because I want to thank John Ray for the T-shirt, the World Championship
nice.
2-time T-shirts. I wore it during the middle of the show, put the T-shirt on. So Smoking Jim's best friend Joy goes, can I get a T-shirt? I said, I'm not on the football team. You got to ask from them. Smoking Jim goes, she's studying law at Duquesne University. I said, you still have to get the T-shirt from the football team. So gave her enough gumption to go ask Johnny Ray. He got her a T-shirt. So she thanked me for guiding her on the right way to go, since Smoking Jim, no pun intended, he fumbled the ball again. But these things happen.
Came out smelling like a rose.
Yeah, somehow he did. He was eating brownies that they made. Amber, John's wife, the owner of the team, brought brownies out there. She didn't make them, she said, but Smoking Jim asked me if I had any. I said no, but those 4 that you have, they look pretty good. And we walked out, and he was still eating brownies. So now I see him tonight eating pizza. So my man's healthy as could be.
Yeah, his tapeworm's real hungry.
Yeah, but check out our On Locations. We'll be posting that show on Wednesday. It was a great show, great information, great interviews. So check it out. And that's all I got for you.
Visit the Oliver Miller Homestead, an 18th century reenactment site located just off the circle on Corrigan Drive in South Park. Self-guided tours are available each Sunday from May 1st until December 8th from 1:30 until 4:30 p.m. with guides in 18th century garb located around the grounds to answer questions and to give information. Your tour will begin in a reproduction bank barn where displays give information on the movement west. You will also see the Miller Still and learn about the production of whiskey and the importance of it and of the Whiskey Rebellion to this area. Follow the Miller Trail up the path and visit the transportation shed, demonstration shed, forge, a reproduction log house, the original spring house, gardens, and finally end at the stone house. Each month, the guides host at least one special event. The homestead is also a great place for tours, tailored to the needs of school-age children, scout groups, or adults. Visit our website at www.olivermillerhomestead.org for a schedule for the year and much more information on the history of the Miller family, our organization, and pricing information.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Welcome back to our sports talk on. Sorry, we were just cracking some jokes here. It can't be repeated on air, but they caught me a little bit off guard on that. We're going to talk Pittsburgh Penguins. Second place Pittsburgh Penguins, 1 point behind the Capitals, who won last night. But the Penguins come all the way back from not in the playoffs to in the heat of the race for number one. Just amazing hockey that they're playing.
Yes, they are. And they've got an 11-game win streak at home.
Which is
going on,
unbelievable.
Which is too shy of the franchise record. But we've got less than a week before the trade deadline. And the Penguins have a couple of players on their radar that they may be interested in trading for. And it would be interesting to see, I think either one of them would be an excellent addition to the team, but what's it going to cost them, and what are they willing to pay for it? The two players that I'm talking about are Derek Brassard, who's a centerman for the Ottawa Senators, who was a former first-round pick for them, and Michael Grabner, who's a winger for the New York Rangers. Now, here's what the deal is with these two players. With Brassard, he's signed through the end of next season, but he's got a $5 million cap hit, okay? So where will he fit under the cap, and who do we have to get rid of to make him fit under the cap? What would Ottawa want in return? And you have to look at what's the return on this trade, and what are we giving up? Because there's got a lot of good young players on the Penguins that are definitely eye openers for other teams. But you think about what their potential could be if they stayed with the Penguins. I mean, the Penguins are the best team in hockey last 2 years.
2 years.
No question.
Going to be three-peat.
Could be 3 years. Now, this Michael Grabner, the winger for the New York Rangers, if the Penguins picked him up, they'd only have him through the end of the year.
Sure.
And they said that he would immediately turn the Penguins into the fastest team in the NHL. He's an extremely fast winger, and he would probably play, I would think, on Crosby's wing. But, you have to wonder with the chemistry that they're developing with the team that they have, and the team is starting to play very well together.
Sure.
Do you want to upset the apple cart, so to speak?
I don't.
That much right now.
I don't.
So,
no trades.
Well, Mike Rutherford is notorious for pulling the trigger on trades. He's made some very good ones, and he's made some others that didn't pan out so well. But
you can only work with so much.
And it will be interesting to see how this plays out, because Ian Cole has been in the doghouse, somewhat to say, this year. He's been on the trade block. And Carl Hagelin may not be around after the end of this season. Maybe somebody that you would want to, give
Dangle.
up. But here's two people that were integral parts of the back-to-back championship teams. So,
and they've been playing well recently.
They have been playing
so
well recently.
No reason to get rid of them. The team's starting to gel.
But that makes them even more
valuable,
more tradable,
Sure.
Because now that they're playing well, you can get something in return from them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
No, Rutherford, I trust him. He's done very well with what he was given here, which wasn't much.
No.
And he did work out, very well.
No, he's made
2 in a row.
You can't argue with success.
And Murray's
Because
Murray's back to playing very well. Makes a big difference with the saves that
right,
he's making and keeping them in the game.
And look at all the young goaltenders the Penguins have.
They're lucky.
And they even gave up Marc-Andre Fleury, who still is a top-flight goaltender in the NHL. Look what he's done with the Las Vegas Knights. You could possibly see the Las Vegas Knights playing the Pittsburgh Penguins for the Stanley Cup this fall. Wouldn't that be something?
I would like to see that.
That would really be something.
Yeah. Put your money on them.
Well, there's a lot of things that happen between now and then, but the possibility is there, because right now the Las Vegas Knights have the best record in the NHL. Now, having the best record in the regular season doesn't usually bode well for a team. If you want to find out how that feels, check back with the Washington Capitals. They win the President's Trophy every year, and that's not the trophy that the Penguins want to win. They want to win Lloyd Stanley's Cup.
That's what they care about. And I predict, like I said earlier in the year, three-peat. They're gelling at the right time.
Well, they're starting
coming
to put
into
it
their
together.
own.
They kind of sleptwalked for the first half of the season.
Oh, they definitely did.
They definitely have it turned on now.
Yes, and it's fun to watch. Hey, I got to bring up some Steeler talk. What's going on with Le'Veon Bell? Smoking Jim.
Well,
franchise tag or what?
I'm not real sure what the Pittsburgh Steelers' feelings are. I believe in the superpower on offense. I think I've been saying for a long time, that's how you win games in this league anymore, is by outscoring your opponents and winning the turnover battle defensively. I think that Le'Veon Bell, in my opinion, is worth $20 million a year. I think that he would.
What do you base that on?
I base it on, number one, his size. Number two is he's the second leading rusher in the NFL this past year. Number three, he's the best receiving. He's a five-tool player, and he may be the only five-tool player in the National Football League.
Really?
He can run, he can catch, he can block, he can pick up, and he can run.
Okay, let me ask you this question,
Not very
because
good.
and I'm not arguing any of those points with you. I mean, I think Le'Veon Bell showed that he could stay healthy for the season.
All pro.
Even though he really didn't play the first 3 games because he missed training camp, and his training camp lasted into the regular season. But that's not.
By the 4th game, he come
But
on.
and I agree that they should pay Le'Veon Bell. But being that he's 1 test away from being Martavis Bryant and probably up to a year's of suspension, how much guaranteed money would you give him? I could see signing him to 3, 4, 5 years, but of that 3 or 4, 5 years, how much of that money do you think you'd be willing to guarantee for him?
All of it.
Well, they don't do that in the NFL, Jim.
I'm just saying. I mean, you asked me how much would I'd guarantee him all of it.
They were guaranteeing him like $40 million last year.
No, they guaranteed him more.
They wouldn't lie.
If he would have signed
Come on.
the extension last year, they guaranteed him more than he would have gotten on the franchise tag this year and next year. I think he would have got $3 million
If
more.
what they were reporting was true, which
It's all
they-
true.
Which is
That's why they use the media.
And
It's all the truth.
I've got no reason not to believe them.
well, they came out with the reports that he missed a walkthrough the day before, all but 5 minutes, and
Well,
they found out later
he
on.
come on,
he had
verified.
He had
Thomas' permission.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
verified it.
So,
He
yeah.
verified it.
Well,
Yeah,
It's
so
just
they-
your perspective on
No,
it.
and that just goes to show you about sketchy reporting on some things, because everybody wants to be the first person out there to get it out. To get the news out, they hurry up and tweet something, or they post it on Facebook, and they don't bother checking the facts. And you're a reporter. I mean,
You try
isn't
to be.
isn't that in news reporting 101? You get the facts straight before you.
17 sources, he told me.
Yeah, I sure do.
I know I've never gotten any bad information from you, huh, Jim?
I've gotten so much I can't even repeat it. My head's spinning.
But even in the draft this year, and there's been reports that the Steelers are looking at linebacker Evans from Alabama and the Boise State linebacker. I mean, it's a reach, especially with Boise State, not just because the guy's white, but he only started 1 year at Boise State. Outstanding player, but I'm for drafting the best available athlete. You're already loaded offensively.
Yes.
Don't reach on defense. If you got the best available athlete, I would get that.
You sound like Chuck Noll.
I would even be willing to trade my pick a little bit in the first round if I can get a veteran in there.
What are your thoughts about the fact that it doesn't look like Mike Mitchell's going to end up staying with the Steelers? I wouldn't have a problem if the Steelers, depending on, and everything in the draft always depends on what falls to you. When you're picking 28th in the draft,
That's
you're
high.
definitely
That's very high.
that's a very low pick in the
That's
draft.
high to me.
I mean, but still, yeah,
The
because there's
seventh round is high to me.
okay.
Really?
Used to be 20-some rounds in the draft. Yeah.
Right. So you got the 28th pick in the
unusual.
draft, okay, and that's still you're getting one of the 28 best players in college football. But if you have a strong safety that's more highly rated than the linebackers that are available, I wouldn't have a problem watching them go after a safety,
I would like
because
to
I
see-
think they need that hammer back there. But the hammer, he can't just blow up people. He's got to be able to tackle people.
Well, I think it's more important, and I agree with you, Chip, but I think more important for this team is we need a Paul Krause. You remember
Okay.
Paul
Yes, I
Krause
do.
from the Minnesota
For the Vikings, yes, sir.
It took him forever to get into the Hall of Fame, even though he's all-time leading interceptor in NFL history, just like Kevin Green took a long time to get it. But if you can get a guy that can sit back and play center field and get you some interceptions,
Yes.
this is a team, just like in the Super Bowl, New England lost when Brady fumbled that ball. Turnovers is huge when you got a great – I think the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially this year has an offense that can average close to 40 points a game. I really believe that. Big Ben's the offensive coordinator now, and he has all the weapons that he's familiar with. So if you bring everybody back, including Le'Veon Bell, And if they
But
stay healthy,
But do they have the QB sneak?
I don't think they have that.
No, but he's got the scapegoat. His name's Randy, Coach Randy.
Yeah, that's it.
Because I'm worried about the sneak. 6'5", 270,
Hey,
fall down.
If Brady can do it at 40 years old, Ben can get up out the wheelchair and go ahead and get
Just
that
get
1
me
yard.
the sneak in there. That's
No,
all
and
want.
I do think they need to load up on defense, and yes, they do need linebacking help. There's no question about that. Bud Dupree started with a lot of promise in his career, and he has been slowly trending down. I need to see a little bit more out of him.
What about Tuitt? He talks about Tuitt all the time.
Well, to play to it.
There was Le'Veon Bell's money right there. You gave it to Tuitt and Marcus Wheaton.
I heard they're juggling their cap to try to get Bell.
But I was listening to Colbert last week.
What did he say?
And and he said
Everything
he said they want to extend Le'Veon. They're closer this year than they were last year, and they're going to do everything they can to keep Le'Veon Bell with.
But
the
isn't
Pittsburgh
today the
Steelers.
deadline for that?
No, they have until March the 6th to franchise tag somebody. They could do it as early as today.
Okay.
Today was the first day that they could actually do that, and they said that even if they do tag him, it doesn't mean that they can't extend him. But their goal, and of course,
He might be like Kirk Cousins.
what Le'Veon said is that he wants to be here in Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh Steelers say, okay, we want you here in Pittsburgh. Okay, quit the song and dance. Get the piece of paper out and sign it. Let's make it happen.
The Jets might sign him. He said the Jets got some money.
Yeah.
They might
No,
grab
you
him.
know
Talking
what?
about $100 million.
Yeah, and he would sign that in a heartbeat.
He said
When
he'd
you
sign.
Guaranteed.
Would you?
You damn Skippy.
What about Cousins? What are they doing with him?
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot
Franchise again.
of- Did they?
I heard they're talking about it.
Wow.
They're
I
talking
think-
about-
I thought they traded for a quarterback.
They did trade for a quarterback, but if anything, you learned anything from this NFL season, follow the Philadelphia Eagles game plan. Their stud quarterback got hurt, and they had an experienced veteran backup that came in and was able to win games and carry the torch across the finish line. So, not having a competent backup, quarterbacks get injured more than just about anybody in this league.
Good point. Very good.
We got time. Well, we're almost out of time. We need a competent quarterback too, backing up Big Ben, because he's not getting any younger, and he does get hurt once
Josh
in a while.
Dobbs.
I like your pick. He's a smart one. No, we'll have to see. Well, we covered a lot of ground out there, folks. Hope you enjoyed the show. Skip, I hope you're enjoying us. And Chip got the Pirates talk in there, so we got that covered and a little bit more. Smoking Jim, we wanted to talk fights. Did you see any good fights? Golden
No.
Gloves?
No.
Okay. Appreciate that, Smoking Jim. Your insights are always welcome. I'm glad you're a ring card announcer and couldn't do much else, so you were paralyzed. Well, folks, you learn all this stuff. Maybe we'll do Golden Gloves at the Royal Place next time it's there. We'll have to find out. So, but thanks for watching our show. We appreciate every one of you, and thanks for all those Facebook likes. And please stay Joey strong.